Welcome to The Leverage Show. Get more from your business and your life. Be sure to share your business questions and challenges with me at leverageshow.com so I can answer them for you on future episodes. So today, I want to share with you, when it comes to conflicting business advice, who's right and who's wrong. Now, if you've spent any time looking at any, magazines, online publications, reading anything to try to improve yourself, your decision making, your ability, and your results in your business, first of all, that's great, because one of the most important things you can do is invest in yourself and make sure that you're doing everything you can to optimize your business. But you also know that if you've done that, you're going to get a lot of conflicting advice. I was looking around on a few of the websites this morning for, entrepreneurs and small business owners, Inc.com, entrepreneur.com, and literally on the same page, you can find 2 or 3 articles that are written by entrepreneurs that have different and oftentimes conflicting advice for how to be successful. It's one thing to go and get a lot of different pieces of advice and have them in different areas. But when you get different advice and it actually is the opposite of what the other person is saying, it becomes a little bit challenging to know, so what do I do? I mean, what is the right answer? How do I implement this in my business without just getting completely confused because one person's saying one thing, another's saying another? So, if you've asked anybody also for business advice on almost any topic, same thing. You're going to get multiple perspectives of advice, and a lot of times that stuff conflicts. So, for example, you read one article and the person says, the only, successful entrepreneurs and business owners start their day at 4 a.m. They're up before the sun. They're, waking the roosters in the morning. And, they've already gone to the gym. They've already had 4 business meetings. And they've already, done more by 8 a.m. than the average person does all day. And then you read another one, and that one says, you know what? The most important thing is to connect with your biorhythms. And if you're a night person, then don't even worry about the morning. Start your day in the afternoon when it's quieter, or in the evening when it's quieter, and work well into the wee hours of the night. You can be completely productive because there are no distractions. So 2 completely different perspectives, but the same kind of advice, like how to be more productive. Another example is, you see this all the time. You just have to work your tail off. Like, you got to outwork every other person out there. You got to work 12, 14, 16-hour days. Forget about sleep. Forget about eat. All that matters is work, work, work. And then, you'll be successful. And then you have other people that tell you that's just going to run yourself into the ground. And the most important thing is to have balance in your life. If you work hard when you work, but then you take time off, you allow your internal batteries to recharge, and you allow yourself to be more focused and productive as opposed to just working yourself to an early grave. And then you have the quality versus expense issue as well. Some people will tell you the only thing that matters is quality. I don't care what the expenses are. You've got to put out the best quality product you can possibly do. If you need to import gold from overseas and inlay it in your product in order to make it better, that's what you need to do. And then other people will tell you the most important thing is to cut expenses. Don't spend a nickel more than you need to spend. So it's very confusing. If you spend a little bit of time on this kind of stuff, anything from time management to product development to, scheduling, organizing, productivity, any of that stuff, you're going to get different advice. Marketing is another big area where you're going to get a ton of different advice. And so it becomes a little bit confusing to know, well, who do I listen to? And what actually is the truth? How can there be 2 totally different perspectives on the same thing? And how am I supposed to implement any of that into my business? Look, the fact of the matter is, your business, you need to think of it like a giant, endless road with intersections every few miles. You're driving the car, so you're going to be constantly faced with decisions to make. And like it or not, those decisions are going to determine your fate. If you make the right decisions enough times and you take that right, or you take that left at Albuquerque or whatever it is, then you're going to get to where you want to be. And if you go the wrong way, you're going to run into the tree across the road, or you're going to drive over the cliff. And it's a sad reality, but it just is what it is. Now, it isn't totally left to chance, and here's where we have the ability to impact that as entrepreneurs and business owners. It isn't just a total dice roll every time, where you just have to get completely lucky. But regardless of what any successful person, entrepreneur or otherwise tells you, they're lying if they tell you that luck isn't involved in some level. Whether you're Bill Gates or whether you're Steve Jobs or whether you're, Joe Johnson or whether you're, Susie Smith, the fact of the matter is there is an element of outside forces that you cannot control that will impact your ability to be successful. Bill Gates happened to build the largest software company on the planet. I don't doubt he would have been successful running some other enterprise, but the timing was right. Just in history, there wasn't that, space already taken, and technology had gotten to a certain point where it was the intersection of his, intellect, his ability, his work ethic, his entrepreneurial spirit, and just timing that all worked together. And this is true for everybody. So what we want to do is make sure that we have clues as to which intersections to take, which turns to take, and when to stay straight or keep going. So you may have issues in your business like, do we build this new product or do we just improve the ones we have? This is a big decision. Launching a new product can be a really expensive venture. And if you happen to nail it, it can make you wealthy. But if it's a disaster, your company could go down the tubes with that. Porsche dealt with this dilemma when they decided to go with the Cayenne, the SUV. Porsche staked basically their entire company on building an SUV that a lot of people told them would never sell because Porsche lovers were race car lovers. They had no interest in SUVs. But, the people in control decided we're going to give it a shot. This is what we believe. So they went with it. And I don't know their sales figures, but they're certainly alive and kicking. I see a lot of Cayennes driving around on the road, so I'm assuming they're doing all right. Do you use a social media marketing campaign? Or do you stick with a cold calling sales team that's in-house? Or do you do both? Well, it would be great to do both, but there's a cost associated with both. There's a return on investment you're going to need on both in order to be able to continue to finance it. And so every choice that you make has results that are going to increase your profit or they're going to decrease your profit. And it may not be today, it may be down the road, but every single one is going to have an impact. And so I would love to tell you that there's one simple, one-size-fits-all answer. This is what you need to do. This is how you should work. These are the hours that you should do. These are the decisions that you need to make. But the reality of it is, the reason there are so many conflicting ideas and advice is that what's right and works for different people in different situations is different. It's just that simple. There is no one size fits all. Maybe for you, starting work at 9 o'clock at night is the right thing to do. Maybe your partners are overseas and for them it's the morning. So that's great. Maybe it's the opposite thing to do. Maybe you should be getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I know in my business, I've tinkered with a lot of different things. And I have experimented with different things, and some things were successful and some things weren't. I've also done every aspect of the work. I've worked 12, 14, 16-hour days for months straight. And I've also worked less than 8 hours a day for long periods of time. I can tell you which one makes you happier. I can tell you which one makes you feel more balanced and in control in your life. It's no question that being able to have fewer hours you have to work will do that for you, no matter how fulfilling your work is. But there may be times where you need to put your shoulder down put your head down and just go to work and bust it until you get to a point where you can sit back a little bit and automate and outsource and do these other things. And so what's right for you, there isn't one size fits all, but this is the way that I approach it. And this is what I've learned in, all of my years in business and my ups and downs, is that the most valuable thing that you can do in terms of this is have a strong internal compass. Have a strong sense of what you believe is right, and keep an eye on and pay attention to the results and the feedback you get from the actions you take. These are the two most important things. And when entrepreneurs get in trouble, it's when they start to ignore stuff that they feel in their gut. They start to ignore things that they know they should pay attention to, and they're oblivious to what is going on around them. You don't want to run your ship into the rocks. You don't want to drive off that cliff. So if your internal compass is telling you this just doesn't feel right, but intellectually it seems like it's the right thing, you could still give it a try, but be really, dialed in to what you're getting as results. And if it isn't working, pull out quickly before you go too far. And the same thing goes with the results. If you are convinced that this social media marketing campaign is the way to go, and, make your determination up front of what you're willing to invest in time and money and effort, and then judge it based on those results. If you put all that in and you're not seeing any trend, you're not seeing any improvement, any increase, it may be time to cut it. You can always revisit it later. A new product offering. If you're working on a new product, reach out to your customers. If they're not interested in it, don't fall in love with your product. Fall in love with your customers. And if they don't want it, don't try to stuff it down their throat, because it isn't going to sell. And so that is really the best advice, is to pay attention to two things. Pay attention to the feedback that you get, the results that you get from the decisions you make, and adjust accordingly. And also listen to your own internal compass. You are the captain. You are the pilot. You are the driver. If you feel like you're making a wrong turn, it's important to stay dialed into your own thoughts. Don't just ignore them and obliviously push forward. The idea somehow, and this is where it becomes dangerous when you get these zealots that are telling you that all you need to do is outwork everybody. It becomes dangerous when you're doing it blindly, when you're just putting your head down and you're working nonstop and you're never looking up to see. What you could find is you work really hard, but all you're doing is driving yourself into the rocks or over the cliff a heck of a lot faster than you would have if you paid attention. All right, that's not the answer. The answer is to do things smart and to do things the right way. So pay attention to your internal compass, pay attention to the results that you get, and use that for your decision making. Use that for your business advice. If you read an article or you get business advice, I don't care how successful or brilliant the person is, if it doesn't feel right, don't do it. If it isn't right for you, don't do it. Because there are a lot of different ways to get to where you're going. And I can promise you that every successful person had a different journey. There may be some common elements among them, but every single person has their own unique individual journey, and so is yours. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And if you have a question, share it with me at leverageshow.com so I can answer it for you on a future episode. And until next time, make it happen.